This is a new modeling and texturing series, and in this one I'm going to be creating the Fallout 4 computer terminal. And what I've got here is a partial reference image. I'm not done, but this is just going to help to create the overall shape of this, and I'm going to upload this so you can grab this image as well, and possibly when I get further along I might change the reference image. So if you're watching this in real time with me, this is what we're going to use. So I brought that in. I'm looking right now in front view. I think I'll stay in front view, and I'm just going to press G and move this over really anywhere for the time being. Maybe we'll move it up to there, something like that. And I haven't scaled it or anything. I haven't pressed S2 or S3. I'm just going to do this. I just brought it in and we're going to do this. All right, so I'm just using this as a guide. So I'm going to bring in a plane, and I think what I'll do is I'm going to go into edit mode and M, merge at center, and just take this point and bring it to about there. And I'm going to press E and G and drag it up. So we're just going to trace the outline. Now, once again, this is not going to look exactly like the Fallout 4 terminal. I got this idea because I was watching some video game walkthroughs, and that's a really great way of getting inspiration. Some people have asked me where I get my inspiration from, and this is one of those places, whether it's Fallout 4, whether it's The Last of Us, whether any Alien Isolation, watching that. And then, of course, if you're watching a good walkthrough, you can take screenshots. All right, so yeah, this is not going to look exactly the same, but it's going to be something. So I'm going to come down to here, let's say, come down to here, come down to here. And I think at this point, I'm going to F to make a face. I'm going to SZ0 just to make sure that's straight. And I'm going to take this point and I'm going to come back down here, E to extrude, and we'll come out to about here, and then come up and F to make a face. So I've got that, F to make a face. So that's filled in. And now at this point, I'm going to extrude out like this. And I'm just going to go to any thickness that I think looks okay. So it's trial and error to some extent. All right, so press 3 for face selection and select that top face. And let's scale that in the Y, SY, just to taper that a little bit. And that's going to be the basic shape of what we've got. So I'm going to hide that for the moment, and I'm going to turn on the cavity shader, and let's get going on this. So I'm going to, in edge selection number 2, select those two top edges there. This is the front right there, and we're going to round these and just do it as much as you want. So I'm going to do this, and 1, 2, 3. The more segments you put in, the more rounded it's going to be, but the more high poly. So do something like that, and then I'm going to Shift Alt and click there and there, so it gets just these two edges, and I'm going to round that nicely. Nice big rounding on that, like that. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to select that edge, and I'm going to hold Control and I'm going to select up there, and then I'll select that whole area there, hit Control, and I get the whole back part. Control B, nice rounding there. I'm still using the same number of segments. I guess it's 5. So far so good. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select that edge, and we're going to round this. So Control B and do something like this, keeping in mind I'm going to need to put the keyboard down here, so I don't have that much room, and this area is going to have the screen and some knobs and stuff like that. All right, okay, we can, if we want, we can select the bottom face and press 3 and select, and now we can bevel this. I may get rid of this, we may do something else, but nice big bevel on the bottom like that. And now we're going to create the front part. So let's go in, press 3, deselect everything else, and C for paint select. Is it circle select, paint select? I think it's paint select, and I'm going to paint that area. So I've selected all that. Now I'm going to press I to inset, hold Shift so I move slower, pull it in till you get the thickness that you like, And I may or may not like that thickness. It's trial and error. Again, E and Alt S and pull and bring it in a ways like that. And then P and separate by selection. All right, we got that piece. I'm going to H to hide that for the moment. Now I'm going to come back in here and we're going to bevel this edge and the inner edge. So in number 2, edge selection, Shift Alt and click, and we'll probably have to click a few times. So do that, and just make sure you're getting everything, including right there. And Shift Alt and click should be able to get that in one. So I've got all those edges, and I'm going to bevel those, but I don't think I'll use 5. I'll go Control B and pull. I'm holding Shift, by the way, to go a little bit slower. I'm going to roll back so I have just the original 2 and 1 more. I think I'll end up with 3, and that'll probably be fine. One more thing I want to do is come in, and this edge here that goes right through, I'm in edge selection, Shift Alt and click, should get the whole thing. I'm going to split this, Control B, pull, roll back, so I just have 2. And I have a little bit of a gap like this, E and Alt S and pull that in, and we'll make that sort of split. Now, hopefully that's not too much. Shift Alt and click these edges, and my dog's coming in. Control B and pull, and then roll my mouse up one more time and have a little bit of a bevel on there. So we get that split. Alt H will bring that front part back. We can shade smooth that. So we'll be doing a lot of our work on this. We can try shading smooth now on this as well, and to correct shading errors we can try a couple things. First of all, weighted normal and normal's auto smooth, and that may be good enough, and that looks like it's good enough. Sometimes I'll have to put a bevel on there, but that looks good enough for now. All right, we'll come back, we'll do some work on the front in a minute, but I want to do some stuff on the back. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select the back and bring my 3D cursor there. Just a little bit easier to do this, and I'm going to hide that again. All right, so that's Control 3 I'm looking at. All right, it's not the real back, I mean, in terms of directions. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in a plane. I'll scale it down. I'm going to rotate Y 90, pull it out a little bit, Control 3 again, pull it down, and I'll angle it later. What I want to do here is select this edge, scale it out, and I want to match this basic angle here. And I'm going to take up a lot of this space. Something like that. I'm going to put a panel on there. Control 3. So select it, 1 for vertex selection. It's just easier to see when we bevel this. Shift Control B, not just Control B, Shift Control B for these vertices. Pull. I have 3, 4, 5. And just get a curve that you like. I like that. All right, I'm going to extrude back a little bit and give it some thickness, and then delete that face right off the bat. 3 for face selection, and select that face. Let's bevel this with 3, Control B, pull, and roll back to just the 2, 3, done. I can shade smooth. I will have to do some work on the shading, and we'll do that later. Keep that there, and come in and select there, and Shift S cursor to select it. Make it a little bit easier on ourselves. Control 3 to look from that side, and let's bring in another plane and rotate Y 90 and get something that you think looks good in terms of size. We're going to create that. There's a little back piece there, and I don't exactly know what it looks like, so I'm sort of I've seen 1 or 2 images of it, and I'm just going to wing it and make something that I think looks cool, and it sort of looks like that. So I just pressed Inset and I brought that in. E to extrude. I'll bring that out. S to scale, and it'll scale it down on an angle like that. So just do something like that, and then 2 for edge selection, and Shift Alt and click there and grab those edges and just bring them back. We'll deal with that in a bit. Now I want to create some little grooves in this, and this is how I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to drop an edge loop there and there, and select both of them, and then Control B and pull out a nice distance like that, and then I'm going to roll my mouse up so I have actually 4 lines vertically and horizontally. 5, 6, or do I have 7 now? No, I got 6. Perfect. Okay, that's what I want. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop one more edge loop there to terminate what I'm going to do on each of these. And I need an edge loop there and there. So I know it's starting to look a little funny, but I'm going to now select all these. So I've got those 6 and whoops, and these 6, and I'm going to Control B to bevel and just pull them open but roll back to 0, so I have just 2 edges, and get a space like that. Because what I'm going to want to do, I'm going to deselect here and go into 3-face selection. What I'm going to be doing is selecting this piece and this piece, and I'm going to do that right now for all of these. So it's going to take a minute to do. You could mirror this to make it go a little quicker, but I'm not going to bother. So I'm just selecting all of this stuff. We're going to inset and then extrude it in just a moment to create the effect that I want. And so I put these edges here to so it didn't go up all the way, if that makes sense. Nope, not that. That. And then we'll get rid of some of these in a bit. So it's a little bit less high poly. So that's what I want to have selected, okay? So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to press I to inset, hold Shift, pull it in a little bit, E and Alt S, and not push, but pull, so I can do that. Now really, now would be a very good time to put a material case you wanted to do an emission on there or something, but I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to deselect. Look from the back again, and in 3 paint or circle paint select, that's what it is. I'm just going to start grabbing this. I'm going to get rid of, let's see, maybe not that, all of this stuff in the middle here to that spot. Alright, I'm going to get rid of all of that X faces, and then I'm going to Shift Alt and click in Edge Selection F to make faces, get rid of some of that. So this is what I have here, not quite done, and then we'll put a bevel on it to make it look a bit better. Now that I think about it, I wonder, no, I can't really get rid of that. Okay, Shift Alt and click these edge ones, Shift Alt and click like that. And then Control B to bevel, pull, get a nice big space, and then 1, 2, 3 for my 5. And then grab this edge as well, and we'll bevel this, but with 3. Like that. If I shade smooth on that right now, we'll have this, and I'm going to come over here, I'm going to add a bevel, and 1 may be enough, except I think I will need to come in here and do that. Just pull that in. And I'll have this. Let's see, maybe I'll come out. Oh, not that. Do I want one more? That looks fine like that. I'll make sure that this is embedded, but something like that. And at this point, I'm also going to select everything and Alt-N, recalculate outside, just in case. And before we pull this in and angle it, I'll do a couple of bullets. A lot of times I will do bullets in Substance Painter, but for this I do want some geometry as well. My 3D cursor is right there, so I'll bring in a circle and just a small number of vertices, just 16. Scale it down, F to make a face, rotate Y90, and let's get you out there so we can see you. And just figure something out for a size. I want them relatively big so they're visible. Just put it there for now and extrude back a little ways, and then X faces. Just a simple bolt. It's not even going to have a little slot for a screwdriver, just something there. I might do that in Substance Painter. Just 3 is probably good enough in Shade Smooth, and pull that in like that, and make sure it's facing the right way, and then just G to move it, Shift D to duplicate it. I'm just going to do this by eye, and then we'll take another one, Shift D and G, pull it down to about there, Shift D there. That's probably fine. I'm going to take that and Control J and join it, but I'm going to come in and recalculate outside just in case. And I think I'm going to join this to this, so I'm going to go ahead and apply that bevel and Control J to join them, and I am ready to go with this piece here. So I'm going to look from the front, which is the side of the thing. I may turn this around soon, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to just bring it in, and I'm just going to rotate this by eye until I get something that I like. And if the shading is still a little bit funny, I can add a weighted normal, and normal's auto smooth, and I'll have that effect. But I mean, I may be joining certain things and not joining certain things, because that doesn't look good, and yeah, you can see that. That doesn't matter. I'll leave that off for now. Sometimes I will go to a matte cap just to see how it's looking here. All right, so we're going to work on some other stuff here. We're going to work on this monitor and these knobs, and we'll see how far we want to go. So let's come in here and select here and bring a 3D cursor there. I really don't need that. We're kind of just doing what we want to do. This is 3 to look from that side. So I'm going to bring in a plane and scale it down, rotate Y90, and I'll bring it down and I'll bring it out. And we're just going to get something that we think looks good and looks relatively central. Yeah. Just bring it out quite far. All right, so I'm going to do this, and I want it a little bit longer this way. I'm going to put a couple knobs on the side, and that is probably okay, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extrude that back and just have a look at it. Yeah, all right, so I'm going to look from the side now, and I'm going to rotate this like that. And then just look at it again for the approximate position. I could still get a couple, I can get something on that side and get a couple of knobs. And now that we have that, let's take these edges here and let's round these. Control B, we'll go for 5, and we'll just get a little bit of a rounded hole, and then we'll use this piece afterwards. So first of all, make sure that the polys are facing outwards by what I just did there, in case you didn't see that as I went in. Alt-N, recalculate outside. All right, select this main piece here and choose Boolean, and then the eyedropper, select that and apply. Don't get rid of this, just maybe hide it and look. All right, so I have room there, and I have a little bit of room there, and a nice big screen in that area. Alt-H to bring that back. So let's just focus on that piece itself. We're going to come in, press 3 for face selection, and select both of those faces. And then press I to inset, pull it in like this. Don't pull it too much so that these vertices start to cross. I just want it like that so I have a bit of a border. Control E, bridge edge loops, deselect, and then in edge selection, Shift Alt and click there. So I have just a back edge there, and S to scale, and just angle it in like that. All right, now in face selection, Shift Alt and click there. We're going to get rid of those faces, we don't need them. And now we're going to bevel these edges. So back to 2, edge selection, Shift Alt and click there. Make sure it goes all the way around. And let's bevel this with probably 3, Control B, pull. I'll sometimes use more than 3, mind you, I will say that. Let's try that. We'll try shade smooth. And we can put on weighted normal and normal's auto smooth just to help clear that up. And hopefully we have enough of a flare on that. Let's bring this back. And now we're going to need to move that in. And the way we're going to do this is I'm going to switch over to normal. And now it follows the exact direction we need it to go in. So I'm just going to push that in like that. And we have the beginnings of our screen. And it is a little deep, but we're going to put in an actual screen in there. So let's do that. Let's select that edge right there, Shift S, cursor to select it, and come back to global. So we have our 3D cursor right there. I'm going to bring in a plane. It's going to come in straight though. I'm going to rotate this, rotate Y90, and just do it like that for now. In fact, actually, maybe we can bring it out. I'm going to switch to normal. I'll just bring it out to there. I didn't have to switch. Just leave it there. We can scale that in a bit. Now I'm going to put some edge loops, and I want one in the middle. So I put in, I guess, 5. And I want another one in the middle. So I'm going to select that one there. And then I'm going to go to proportional editing, and I'm going to pull and just adjust your size of your circle by rolling your mouse so that you get sort of a gentle curve like that. Shade smooth. And now we can look with respect to this, maybe slash key just to focus on those, and press 1 to look from the front, and I can go into edit mode and wireframe, and I can just rotate this, and I see that I still have proportional editing on. I turn that off, and we've got our screen there, and then you can decide if you want to, change the dimensions of this or move it. Let me have a look at this. I think what I'll do is I'm going to move it up to it so it's about central. Maybe I'll pull it out and have a look at this and see if I need to scale it down. I want it to hit all sides. I might scale it in the Z a little bit, and I don't really mind if it changes its orientation just a little bit. And we have that. It doesn't show through. The only thing we need to check is that it's facing the right way, and it is so far. Okay, and yeah, I might need to rotate that a bit. I might rotate this in the Y because I think I moved it a bit. I'll leave it there for now. That's looking just fine. So we've got that. Let's go on and do just a little bit more, and then we'll take a break and leave some for the next video. Let's do these knobs. Now, really you should probably do this stuff in texture, but I think we're going to do it in geometry. So yeah, let's just do that. And then we'll put some sort of fake bullets, like this stuff at the back, just to make it look a little bit more complete. And again, if you had used more segments here, you can get a more rounded look, but I think it's fine the way it is. All right, so what I might do is I might select just something there that's a little bit closer to where I want to put them. And this is 3, Shift A, Mesh, Circle. I'm going to go for 22 vertices rather than like 18 or 16 or 32 or something like that. I'm going to rotate Y 90 and just drag it over. I have to make a face. And I'm not really worrying about the size of it. I'm just going to do whatever. I'll make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to press 3 for face. It's just a little bit easier. I'm going to press I to inset, come in. So there's a little border there. And then I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull out in the X direction like that, and then S to scale, just a small tapering down. Now 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click here and bring it back like that. So you could stick that in and you'll still have some sort of thickness to it. All right, now in 3 face selection, select there, I to inset, pull it in a little bit so you have a border like that, E to extrude and gesture back in that direction. S to scale to sort of angle it a bit, and then another inset, I to inset, pull. I'm holding Shift so I don't go too far, and then we're going to pull this out a little bit, just like that, and then bevel it, Control B. And I might put an extra segment in there so you have that thing there, sitting like that. Now we'll bevel those sharp edges in a moment, but the next thing we're going to do is come in, and in 3 face selection, Shift Alt and click to get that whole ring of quads, polys, whatever. All right, now checker deselect. This is a very common thing. I to inset, pull, hold Shift, pull in so that you've got some separation there. E and Alt S and push so that they go inwards like that. Now, sorry to say, we're going to use a subdivision. Control 1, shade smooth, come in, drag an edge loop down so you get a slightly rounded, slightly squared end. So it's not like looking like that. This one like that. And we will merge by distance. I'm sure there's nothing. Alt N recalculate outside. And now we still have to add some edges. So actually what I'll do is I'll hide that for the moment. And I probably should have beveled this first, but I don't need to. I'm going to drop a couple of edge loops right there. And I'm going to drag an edge loop right there, and I'll just take this one and bevel it with just 3, and I think we'll have a nicer looking thing. We may need a couple more edges here. Let me just focus on that thing. All right, let's have a look. I think it's up to you how much you want to go into this. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, let's bring that back. Okay, I'm going to look from the front, which is 3 actually, and just decide, do I like the size of that? I think You know, I want them relatively large. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a center it a bit more. I'm going to shift D to duplicate it and make a copy of it like that. So I have two of them there. Okay, and now I'm going to start bringing them back. I'm going to look from the side, which is actually the front. And I'm going to rotate and just start playing with the position. I mean, if I bring them up there, I'm closer to the diagram, and I'll just start pushing them in until they make contact, and just have a look at how they're doing. I think that's probably okay. Now, what's different here? Now, my curve is a little bit different. Now, I may decide that I want a better one of these. If I did decide I did, let's hide that for the moment. What could I do here? What could I do? I could select all of this. Shift S cursor to selected. Let me just try something here because I might want to do that. I'm bringing in a new plane there. All right, and that's fine. Okay, and these guys, I just want to look at these. I may want to position these a bit different now, and then still in that normal mode, move those out like that. All right, so we're kind of creating our own version. Let's do one more thing, and let's do this piece here. And then we'll call it a day or a night in my case. I'm going to select that edge and Shift S cursor to selected. This makes it easier. Global. And I mean, I can take a piece of this too. That's often what I'll do because it's close. I'll Shift D to duplicate it, bring it down, scale it in, P to break it out. And now I can just build a plane out of that, you know, like this. You know, so this looks like it's kind of something where you slip in an ID card or a key card or something like that. So I'm just going to build it like this. All right, I'm going to press I to inset, come in like this. Let's see. Yeah, okay, something like that. And then E to extrude, come out like that, and then I to inset again. Like that. I can make it a bit narrower, though. I'm going to SZ. And then I'm going to press this in, X, get rid of that face. 2 for edge selection to select that outer edge and pull it back like I usually do. I'm going to take the whole thing, Alt-N, recalculate outside. It's just because I got weird shading on right now. Select these edges in edge selection. Shift Alt and click so it goes all the way around and inside. I'm going to round these. Control B. I'm going to round it and I'm going to use 5. And then it's time to just bevel the outer edges. So in edge selection, Shift Alt and click that one, and this one. We'll do those together. That should get everything. And we'll just use 3, Control B, pull, roll back to, there's 2, 3. And I'm going to do this one as well. I could have done it at the same time. And that'll give me a nice effect. I don't think I'm going to cut in at this point. I may just put some black in there. In which case, what I might do is fill that again, bring maybe one edge loop down, and just color that in black. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to have to probably extend this back so that this piece is higher than this piece when I rotate it into place. So, from the side, which is really the front, I'm going to turn this, start pulling it in. And again, you can go and use this normal thing. See, I don't want that part showing through. And so I'm just going to position this in a place where I like it. And let's see, I think that's something like that. However, we should do a quick check. Oh, you see, it looks good. And that's that thing there. So far so good. Let's hide that. Let's have a look with matte cap again. There's that sort of metallic look. But I'm going to try the red because I find it pleasing, and sort of it helps me see things. So it looks pretty good. Yeah, looks pretty good. You know, the more segments you're going to use, the smoother it's going to be. But none of these things look that smooth in the game, you know, to cut down on polys. But that's what we've got so far. And I know we'll need those bolts on there, and there's some other details. But that's the start of our Fallout 4 computer terminal. And I think it's going to lend itself really well to being grunged up in Substance Painter. I'm just going to leave it at that, and we'll come back and we'll finish it up. So, like I say, I'll provide the reference image up to about that point, maybe a little bit further, so you can model at least the side profile. All right, take care.